Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. We want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south to our special Take 5 today, Wednesday, March the 24th. We have our special guest back with us, Scott McKay. I am so glad to have you back, my friend. Welcome.
My friend, it's always a pleasure to be with you. I often cite, in fact, I had Clay Clark, we were talking about this particular issue. I often have you cite you telling your listeners one day when I was late coming to a show, we're just going to have to hold the fork in line.
Yeah.
I said, see, Pastor Dave give us a stamp of approval on our tagline.
That's
there.
right.
Clay Clark did a really interesting short dissertation on, Scott, let me tell you something about your language, and so I was like, a lot of my folks reach out to me about it. And he explained where like that particular word comes from and, the acronym, it's foot acronym for something, and like SHIT, something like that as well. And I was like, wow, really, what an interesting piece of history here in terms of literary history there, grammar history. But he was like, basically, you just keep firing away, because it's, the intent with the emphasis, I guess, of which I bring out.
That's what you're doing, waking people up. I love it.
Yeah, my Christian friends are starting to figure it out. Like, hey, we got to pick up every weapon we got. Just aim it at the right people and call them what they are,
That's right. That's right. I'm full of war. I have a Bible here. I have a shofar here. I have my Marine Corps K-bar here. Yeah. And I have the Constitution here, too. So we're ready. We're locked and loaded.
I will show you. We just got the new prototype Patriot Street Fighter Tomahawk just came in.
No way.
Yeah, here's what I said last night. I showed it off. I said, so what we're going to offer the enemy, because of my Native American heritage, we're gonna lead with this. This is actually a peace pipe.
Wow.
Right? It's an actual peace pipe. So now this is what we're offering to tyrants. But if they refuse peace, then we figure out what we do next.
Yeah.
So there's
That's neat.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, they got We the People into the handles, right?
Oh, that's nice.
Got We the People right into the handle, because when we designed the Patriot Street Fighter Tomahawk, it's the Constitution rolled up. That's why you see the writing of the Constitution on the handle of the Tomahawk.
I love it.
So, yeah, we're armed. We're ready for these people.
This is the year of the Constitution. I don't know if we said this the last time you were on, but I tell everybody that comes on, our patriots and our pastors and prophets and movie stars, all that come on, that this is the year that people are going to either re-educate themselves on the Constitution or know the Constitution for the first time.
Well, that's great you said that, because I had a guy on Monday night on the Tipping Point on the radio show. I had him on for the second hour. And his name is Douglas Gibbs, and he teaches a Constitution class out in California. Mm-hmm. And the response that we got from that show was enormous. And so what we're going to do now, we're going to take, and again, I'm jumping in front of the horse here, but I suspect we may be able to get this arranged. But we may be doing a weekly show just with him teaching the Constitution to all of our listeners. So I'm glad you said that, because this is what we need. One of the things I found interesting that Ron told me this morning, he said, you know what? He said the Constitution, as it was written so the common man could understand it.
Exactly.
It was the legal profession that came in and started putting all this legalese in that we couldn't understand for a very, as you know, by design, a very distinct reason why they've done everything they've done to get away with what they've done to us. But I agree with you. We'll help on that, Matt, and on that, that matter.
Yeah. I would love to. I would love to work with you, because we did something a year ago called 100 Days of Truth, where it started waking people up to know what the Constitution was about. And we're moving to a 24/7 TV station. And one of the things I want to do is have a show dedicated directly to the Constitution.
Well, however we can work together, I'd be honored to work with you on anything.
That would be incredible.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Once people start, once we start picking up the ball, as you know, Dave, of teaching what we used to get in school, in high school, whether it's civics or things on the Constitution, and they whitewash it so the younger generations have no reason to fight them.
Right.
We'll do it out here, because what we end up with now is a very massive audience, not just here, but worldwide. And these are the parents who then filter this information down to their kids. And I'm learning that a lot of the new Patriot Street Fighters that are coming to our little revolution here are the younger kids. Younger people are coming to it because they get into they like the tomahawk thing. They like that sort of, pushback on the establishment kind of thing, whatever draws them in.
Yeah.
It's getting their attention to start thinking, hey, we need to fight for our rights. I'm like, they don't even know what their rights are, but they're ready to fight for them, which is a good thing. Remember
when we were younger, Schoolhouse Rock, they used to teach us that kind of stuff in cartoons after school?
Yeah.
We'd like to develop that for the young kids too, a cartoon version of the Constitution as well, to wake them up. I mean, they've even taken cursive out of the curriculum on purpose.
Isn't that, that's interesting that you mentioned that. Is that because the understanding of because the Constitution is written in cursive? These people have fought this thing out, their game plan so well on every level of life, on how to, and here's what folks need to understand about this. I continuously refer to them to the Khazarian Mafia, because that's what they are. And interestingly enough, I had an intel source had been sort of plugging their connectors into me over the last probably 2 months, maybe. And this is, I would just say this is basically a bloodline faction, a protective faction, which to me is astonishing that they've connected with me. But over time, it took a little bit of kind of maneuvering to figure each other out, trust factor, whatever. But one thing that I've learned from them that validated what I've been saying for over a year on a tipping point is this is the Khazarian Mafia. These are the Khazarian banking elites. And so if you look at their game plan, they've been at this for 1,400 years. The U.S. wasn't around by then, but they've never lost control ever until now. And their plans are always long term. They're serving their God, how they serve their God in their lifetime. They don't care if they get to the end game conclusion or they're here to see it.
Right.
That's why they can put these terms in long, because you and I remember what it was like in school back then. Now it's like, how did this happen over 20, 30 years? Well, they're very patient and they've done it.
But God is boomeranging that back, with the shutdowns of the schools. Parents are, overhearing Zoom calls and finding out what these teachers are actually teaching. And you see, we start homeschooling my son before this happened. We've had actor Sam Sorbo on. She's going to be on again tomorrow with Kevin Sorbo. She's done homeschooling. And we like to put homeschooling for Christians all across the country so that people have resources so they don't have to go to the corrupt public school system.
Yeah, and you've seen, I'm sure, on some local levels, they have actually fought, the bureaucrats have fought homeschooling like anything else. They try to outlaw anything, and just and this as well as anybody. If you look at the education system as it stands today, like the NEA, these government unions. I remember back when we had fights in the 90s, under the Democrat, the Republicans did get power, but the fight was to get school vouchers into America where they could pull their kids out of these bad schools, get the vouchers for the tax they pay, go to charter school. So what happens is the politicians come into town, put all their kids, including Gore and Clinton, put their kids in these high-end private schools and force the inner city kids to stay in these war zone schools when they could actually take them, go somewhere else, take vouchers. And they're always against it. And I remember their argument always was, it was about the teachers because it's going to cost the teachers jobs. And I'm thinking, why isn't anybody standing up and saying, fork the teachers' jobs? What is a school for? It's to educate the kids. It's not to give jobs to teachers. Nobody would just come out and say it. And that's why the Republican Party, to me, that's why they've been my number one target since 2006. Listen, I'm Joe Lunchbucket Scott McKay from nowhere. If I know this stuff and can see it, and I'm constantly showing this, why aren't you people that are in front of the camera and have the public's attention saying these things? Yeah. Why aren't you saying it? Well, now we know why. Exactly. I learned, by 2006 that we know why.
Yeah,
they're never going.
It's dark versus light. It's not just Republican versus Democrat, and there's a lot of what we call them bad Oreos that are Republicans as well. And it's time for America to start taking their local government serious, get involved in the school boards with veterans and patriots and Christians, and getting the local government and spreading that all through the country.
Yeah, and I was probably back in a month ago when we were in Vegas. Sometimes these things just fly out of me. I'm like, okay, I got to follow up on this. I said, what we need to do? We're going to create Operation Restoration. We are going to start bringing, and I just threw out Navy SEALs because that's the high special operators that people think about. And then, of course, you've got recon Marines, you've got Air Force Commandos, you've got Army Rangers, all these other highly trained guys. They're a certain mindset. Mm-hmm. And with the leadership training that they have, I'm like, we need to get that, because as Trump is trying to get all that off the battlefield, let's get it in the public forum. Right. Because when you have these people, and I explained this, I had a guy on the phone, first guy I talked to, I've talked to a number of them now, and they're acquiescing to the idea. But I said to one guy, he said, I can't believe that I'm actually talking to you on the phone, because he listens to the show. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you're the Patriot Street Fighter. I said, let me explain something to you. I said, let me reverse this here, because this is the truth. When you're out in public and somebody who knows who you are or what you've done, they'll say to their buddy, hey, dude, check that guy out there. See that guy right there? Yeah, that guy's a Navy SEAL. Right. And somebody's like, no shit, really? Yeah. Yeah. And they're watching you like, how does he walk? How does he hand his checkbook over to the bank teller? That's what we think. Yeah. That's how we respond to you people. Yeah. And so there's so much reverence for you guys, that if we could get you into a school board meeting, at a city council meeting or whatever it is, and now that you guys were used by the bankers as highly trained door kickers for these scumbags. Yep. And you see these school board people who are bringing all this insane curriculum to the kids. If you stand up and you just basically pin them down like you hear me doing, guess what? In about 5 minutes after you do your thing, you're going to have half the place, if not 2/3, going to be clapping, and they're going to fall in line behind you because somebody has the balls to look at these people and tell them what they are. And then trust me, all this will just spread. It'll be like the people are going to say, we are ready to take back. And this isn't all school board members. It's not all city councilmen, because I got an email from a guy, Dave, that really great guy, and let me know he's like a city councilman or a mayor of some small town here in Texas. And I was like, I'm glad you emailed me because I need to cover that too, because it's not all of them. But if you guys stand up, everybody else will file right in behind you and say, you know what, we're with him, because it gives them the courage to line up behind somebody who's going to lead the charge on this conversation. But local level on up. Yep. The local level is where we have to start it all.
And especially sheriffs. I mean, people don't realize, based on the Constitution, how important your local sheriff is. They have more power than a governor.
Yeah. Are you the one that introduced me to Sheriff Mack? You?
No, but somebody just introduced me to Sheriff Mack. Sheriff Mack is going to come on His Glory. But it's a small world.
You're in for a treat, because I had him on probably 3 weeks ago. I forget who introduced me to him. It was a huge... again, it was one of those ones that put me in YouTube jail for a week on that channel. But yeah, they took that down. It got, we have half, like we get our channel knocked off, and it takes us about 2 weeks to, we get knocked off at 150,000 subscribers. It takes about 2 weeks, and we'll be back up to 75, right? But even with that channel as a recovery channel, we probably had 150,000 views in the first day, and it was just going to go from there. YouTube saw it. Now they're seeing fast growth on a video. Boom. They just nailed it. You got a strike. Yep. And so they hit it fast. But I'm telling you, the response was overwhelming. Yeah.
So if they said there was 150,000 views, I actually have somebody that is an expert that can get into the algorithms. They've seen some of our views on YouTube it's like 10 times more than that number. So it's probably 10 times more than that 150,000.
That makes sense.
They funnel that thing down.
Okay. I kind of suspected that. I didn't see any clear evidence, but these people this group that I'm talking to, I call them Overwatch, because they're kind of they have an Overwatch over me, of course, now. But they said to me that, Scott, here are things that you need to start sharing with your audience. To them, it's mission critical, and these are highly trained people. But he said that you need to do this, and this. You now have 20 million plus followers, and it's climbing. And I thought, wow, 20 million. How would they know that? Well, just based I think they're looking across a broad spectrum, because people are grabbing your videos and they're uploading them there in their channels. I get people that grab my videos that have more views on the videos that are on my channel than I do. Right?
Me too. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, hey, and I tell these guys they're monetized channels too. I'm like, you know what? If you can make money off of YouTube on my stuff, I can, of course. I never would be able to. Get their money, monetize my stuff. Great. Don't take my trademark. Don't pretend you're Patriot Street Fighter and all that BS, or I'm going to hammer you, which I do.
Right.
But spread the word everywhere. Yeah. And so that's how it's happening, I think, here. Yeah. They're tracking that stuff.
Yep, they are. And we've spread it out so much. This goes live on multiple platforms with us. We go live through our website, and we go through our app. That's the majority of our followers are through the app and through directly through our website, because we have better control over that. You never know. It's a battle, but it's a battle that we're going to win, because America is waking up. I think I mentioned this last time you were on. Christians are waking up to become patriots. Patriots are waking up to know the living Christ, and they're both coming on fire. And I love it.
It's awesome. I mean, and what's interesting about that is that, and you probably heard me, I'm going after my Christian brothers and sisters harder than anybody. I'm like, faith without works is dead. You people run around with your Bible. You can quote all kinds of things in the Bible. What are you doing? Christianity is an action plan. Yep. That's what it is. And you all can talk about these things, but the question at the end of the day is, what are you doing? If you're expecting Christ to drop on the planet, he's going to say, you guys fork this whole place up, and I'm going to come in and clean it all up and say, oh, by the way, here's your free ticket to heaven. Yep. It doesn't work that way. It's an ascension process that you got to earn. So I got to get in play. I got
to tell you something. I haven't told you this, and I should have shared this with you when this happened. My wife, we do a Sunday service, and on Sunday service, I think it was last week, she read a letter that came in from one of our His Glory family followers. They watch you all the time, and they watched you and I together, and they accepted Christ after one of our shows.
How about that?
Yahtzee.
How about that? I freaking love it.
Yes, and that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah. Listen, here's the thing. Most people have heard my path, my spiritual journey. See you later, God. We're done. After 20 years, and then I went down a lot of different pathways that I needed. In fact, like I said, God knew what I needed. He knew that my problem child here, he's going to want deeper answers. Let me send him out here to show him how my universe really works, because I wanted a blueprint, and I got it. And boy, when the last sort of puzzle piece, the pathway that I went down, which was of all places, a secret space program rabbit hole, brought me back home to God. Like the first time that we did this, and it was the most amazing experience. And when it happened, it changed me. But here's what's great is because of the dogma of Christianity, the judgmentalism, which isn't supposed to happen. You know how it goes in a church, all that stuff. I'm still kind of like this. Like I'll be like, well, let me tell you something, But now that I'm hanging around you and LT, and people like Clay Clark, I feel this comfortable welding of fabric, coming a little closer, because I still have this, you know what I mean? Yeah. A little bit of that. Because I'm like, nah, I'm gonna talk to the man. I don't, you know what I mean? But I feel this happening to me. I'm like, this is interesting. I mean, because when I'm hanging around, it's always about who you're with. It's like, why don't you let your kids hang around drug dealers? Because they're going to become a drug dealer, right? Exactly. It's just that influence. But I find myself having been on your show, it's like that was one of the first real leaps for me, you and LT. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with the right people. Yeah. Because you know what? You are what you are, but you're still a soldier. You're still a Marine. And I always say, Michael, if the Archangel Michael drops onto the planet, he's got a sword. He's going to lop some heads off. Yep. When work needs to be done, we're going to do it the hard way,
I have 2 3-star generals that text me this last week, and one's from the Air Force and one's from the Army. And I'm just a simple Marine, the lowest you could possibly get on the Marine chart. And they say Semper Fi to me. It's amazing brotherhood, and it's incredible. And you mentioned LT. LT's coming on His Glory tomorrow again. The last time he came on, I think you told me he did the same thing when he came on to visit with you. It was like one of the best sermons I ever heard.
You know what? I told you this, that when we did that show, it was an hour show, and he was absolutely, he was going nuclear, like Christ nuclear, right? Yep. And it's not his personality, I guess his nature. He's but he says, you just put me in the mood to fight. So what I did when I had to do the tipping point right after that on the hour, I'm like, you know what, LT? If you have more time, he's like, I got another hour. I have that much time. So I said, I'm going to get into the servers at Revolution Radio, and I'm just going to keep this live stream rolling if I can pull it off. So then we got him. We just kept rolling, and I was doing this right on the first hour of Revolution Radio. We had 30,000 people live. Okay. Now you have the Revolution Radio crowd, right? That's worldwide. And then you have this live stream that climbed from like 17 or 19,000. It went to 30. So, and I had to make it into 2 videos, and I titled them LT Unleashed Part 1, LT Unleashed Part 2. People just loved that guy, loved his show. And you know what? He was a little self-conscious about it. You can ask him about it. His wife was a little self-conscious about it. He shared with me, and I understand that. Yeah. But I'm telling you, he reached a lot of people. I tell you, got a lot of patriots out there that were like, yeah, I think I want to be a Christian too. Yeah,
he is. You and I both have talked to him. We know him behind the scenes. He's a real deal. And you saw, the last time he was on, you saw 2 Marines cry. Well, you didn't see him, but you heard him choke up. Marines do cry, and it was a beautiful message. This is coming from a patriot. This is coming from a Marine, but he loves Jesus Christ. The most important thing.
Yeah, and when you have that kind of care and compassion in your heart, that's an easy thing to do. I had one of my listeners, her mother is like my biggest fan. She's 92 and a half years old. When she sent me a picture, when she takes her to her doctor's or hospital, whatever appointment, like once or twice a week, her mom, she sends me, it gives me a picture. She's in the driver's seat. She takes a picture, and here's this 92-year-old lady, Julia Krakostas, and she has her laptop on her lap, and she has me up as she's listening to the Patriot Street Fighter on the way to her appointments. So I got I got a note from her. I got an email and a couple of pictures, and let me know that her mom just passed away. And before she did, she had her like a picture over her shoulder, and she has her phone sitting up on the table there, and of course she has the show up. But I had this conversation with her prior to this, and when I saw this and she passed away, and I wanted to actually talk to her on the phone. I called her once because I wanted. She said, "Oh my God, if you actually called her on the phone, I don't know what she would even do." But when I did, she can't hear very well.
Yeah.
But before I got the chance to do that, she had passed. And I sat there in my recliner crying like it was my own family member, like I just got a phone call. It totally broke my heart.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's two things. Real men cry, and consciousness is on the rise.
Yep, it is. Because what you're doing is impacting a lot of patriots, and what we're doing is impacting a lot of Christian and patriots that may not have been Christian. That's why God was creative with his ministry to bring in patriots like we did. We're a very unique ministry that talks to generals and gets intel and brings people like you in, and it's very diversified, and people love it. They love it. And the humility, because you show great humility, and that's what it's all about, humble. We know who our God is, and he is the King, our Savior's the King of Kings, Lord of Hosts, and we're just servants, just like the Marines. You're a servant in the Marines. You're not bigger than the team.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to point out. It's like in this movement, I've listened to other patriots attacking patriots, and I've talked to some of them. I'm like, look, you're fighting the wrong enemy here.
That's right.
We need to stay focused on the enemy. Yep. This is what we're trying to stop. So if you don't agree with every patriot, there's no reason to get into skirmishes with them. And I was having a conversation with David Rodriguez, and when it comes to the humility thing, I said, look, I said, I go on to as many smaller shows as I can. And I said, here's the challenge, is that there's a spotlight that's cast on what we're doing, right? And now we've been doing this. I haven't been doing the radio show a little over a year, doing this since that video went nuclear last fall. Other than that, all the stuff I've been doing, there's no spotlight on it. There's no camera. It's just everything we've done trying to fight for this country and wake people up. I said, but the challenge is, and I've seen this on the competitive bodybuilding stage, I've seen it in business, I've seen it in public speaking. Once that light turns on, people change.
Yeah.
That's the most dangerous thing that can happen. And I said, here's the thing. The reason that I go on these small channels is people want to be a star, unfortunately, right? And I said, you want to be a star? You go on as many small channels as you can to help get exposure. We don't need 20 generals. We need 30,000 soldiers.
Yeah.
So I go on there because I know it's going to draw a lot of attention to this person. They're going to be confident. I want them out there on that camera, sharing everything and getting people's attention, right? So if you help enough of these smaller channels become stars, you don't have to worry about being a star. You'll be a mega star.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be about that anyways.
Right.
It's about recruiting this army of people so they stop looking at you like, I could never. That's why I'm low tech here. I get all kinds of emails about my opening music, and I'm like, there's a reason why I don't want my music fixed or, the green screen. I want people to say, he's sitting at a desk with a camera and a computer. Right. To get people to say, I don't need all this. Let's go to war. I don't need the biggest and best weapon. I need a courageous fighter. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but I think that's helping a lot of people come to the battlefield. You got to stay humble, though, folks.
Yep, you do.
If you're out there, if it becomes about you, you now have endangered the mission.
Yep. And that's why getting many veterans involved is so important, because no matter what branch of service you go through, I know the Marines, but other services, you're taught that it's the unit that's bigger than the self. And Christ tells us that as well. We have to take self out of it and put Christ in it. That's why another reason why we want to get these veterans activated in local government and get our nation back.
Truly. I mean, I have a guy I've been talking to from the beginning, Lieutenant Colonel Blaine Bateman. He flew, he was a Boeing pilot, but for 30 years in the Air Force, he flew a number of different planes. He was flying AC-130 spec ops missions, all kinds of stuff. I love these guys. I mean, they're just, these guys, there's, you know, you don't think special operations aviation, but, you know, these Air Force guys, they do some pretty interesting stuff.
Yes, they do.
But the thing I love about them is exactly what you just said, like Navy SEALs, for example. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more Christian than the Creed or Recon Marines or any of these guys. Yep. No matter what, nobody's getting left behind. If someone goes down, even if they're dead, we're bringing 5 other teams in because we're taking that guy home. Yep. There's nothing more Christian than that, serving your brother, you know, or your sister. There's nothing more Christian than that. And that's the stuff that inspires me. It gives me goosebumps to think about it. Is that brotherhood. It is incredible. I don't know if I mentioned it last time you were on, but when I was in the Marines, I was where LT was in Japan. And we had to train with the Navy SEALs one time. And they are the most incredible on the face of the earth. We knew they were coming, and they still got us. And they were incredibly humble. If you hear a Navy SEAL saying he's done this, that, and the other thing, most likely he's not a Navy SEAL because they're humble and they don't talk about it. Exactly. They don't know how truly special they are. However they do that, that programming that they have in their psychology is truly, truly magnetic. And that's what I love about these guys. When I'm talking to them, I talked to one guy last week for a little while. He's connected to a lot of these guys in his community, and his name's Dennis Ketchum. But, you know, I'm thinking, he's just like a regular guy, right? What an amazing conversation. He's just a regular guy. Yeah. But you know what? When they put that uniform on, look out. Look out. Look out. Because there's nobody like them. Nobody like them. And that's coming from a Marine. I mean, Marines Force Recon are really, really good too, but there's nothing like a Navy SEAL. I've seen it firsthand, and I know many Navy SEALs, and I have never met a Navy SEAL in my life that bragged about what he has done. Interesting. Yeah, that's so true. Look, I'm glad you said that because I can't always identify. I have some of these guys reach out to me. And the ones sometimes that reach out to me, they're not that. Yeah. You know, you kind of like the flag goes up. Yep, that's a red flag. Yeah. And the other guys, I wouldn't say they're reluctant, but to a degree, they're reluctant. Mm-hmm. You know, they're reluctant. Yeah, because I find myself selling them on how truly powerful they really are. Exactly. Like just in the public image, they're like this, like, nah, this guy seems pretty excitable. You know, I'm like, no, this is true. Because I'm telling you, I'm talking to you. And you're like, you can't believe I'm talking to you. I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm talking to my dad. Yeah, I was talking to this Navy SEAL today, Dad. Exactly. You know, I got an email from somebody yesterday. It was a 94-year-old man. I believe he served in World War II, and he was in his dress blues. And he sent that picture to me, and it made me cry. And I was like, he's got to come on His Glory TV. Because the people need to realize how these men and women have put their life on the line to protect this great republic. And they're humble. Yeah, truly. And I had my sister, she runs a surgery practice for some surgeons up from where we're from. And she has this one patient. Can't remember John's last name. I could grab it. But anyway, he's 96 years old, and he's as sharp as a tack. Yeah. And he flew on B-24s in World War II. I think he told me he was on 38 missions or something like that. But so she went up she'd taken something to him. She went to visit him. Her and her husband went up because she adores this guy. It's like her adopted grandfather. And so she got him on FaceTime, and she wanted to introduce me to this magnificent guy. And his energy was just, his face, his eyes off the chart. But he's so proud that he served in World War II in ways that was he said, here's what he told me. He said, the pilots who were flying these birds, He said they were getting 6 to 8 weeks of training here in Texas on the B-24. Boom, sending them into combat. These guys were 19 years old and under.
Yep.
Pilots. Now think about that culture back then. 19-year-old kids. He said there wasn't one above. He said the average. I don't know if he said the average age was 19. I think he said everybody on that plane. He said that nobody was above 19 years old. Yeah. And when he was on one, he was 26, and they called him the old man.
I keep my grandfather's Marine Corps cover on my desk with me every day. He was a fighter pilot in World War II and the Korean War. He was a lieutenant colonel. As one of the reasons I went into the Marines is because what he did, and he was very humble. We didn't find out until after he died that he was part of Pappy Boyington's group for a little while.
You're kidding.
No,
Baba Black Sheep. No.
Baba Black Sheep, yep. Pappy Boyington actually beat my grandfather in poker, I'm told. Took his money.
Oh, that's even an honor. I lost to Pappy Boyington.
He lost to Pappy Boyington, yeah. My grandfather, I guess, was not much of a poker player, but he could sure fly an airplane. He was the first one to fly from the West Coast to the East Coast on a jet.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I never met him. He died about 3 months before I was born. And I'll never everything about him sticks with me. That's what he gave for his country, because that generation, our generations don't understand how that last great generation, what they did for this country, is amazing.
To me, it's the most inspiring thing. That's why Memorial Day is more so than the 4th of July, is my favorite holiday of the year. Yeah. And I typically travel, to be with my family during that time, because there's always, small parades, or, my father being a veteran, and they do what they do in the park, and honoring the veterans. But I'm just unbelievably inspired by soldiers, because of the decision they're making, especially in this country, on a voluntary basis, that I care about the concept of human freedom so much that I'm going to leave my wife and kids behind, and I'm going to serve in a different theater, and there's a chance I may never come back.
That's right.
But somebody has to guard freedom. I can't think of anything more righteous and more noble. I mean, it brings me to tears thinking about it. It just does. Yeah. So that's why I have so much reverence for the military.
When you sign those papers, you're signing your life away. You're putting your entire life, and you're sworn to the Constitution for life too. And that's another thing most people don't realize. They think that when you're sworn into our military, you're sworn into the commander-in-chief. No, you're sworn to protect the Constitution of the United States.
Very good distinction.
Not the commander-in-chief. That was one of the key things they taught us in the Marines. Lawful orders. You have to follow lawful orders.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, with what you're going to do, hopefully we can work together on that and do this constitutional education to help people remember that's what we're loyal to. It's not a man. It's not a president. We're a nation of law. It's not a nation of men. Now, the scumbags have certainly distorted that and made it to be what our founders tried to prevent. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's always been America's finest. I'm never anywhere, Dave, anywhere. And I haven't been for 2 decades plus, probably 25 years. If I'm in an airport, if I'm on the street, I see somebody in uniform, I always make my way over, shake their hands. Thanks for serving.
Yep.
Everywhere. Because so I get beat up all the time, because I think I had this conversation with you that when I was going through Navy, Marine Corps aviation recruiting, and I was a top tier candidate, and then I got caught up in the Cheney budget cuts under Bush 1 when they were cutting back the Reagan buildup. So again, my dream just evaporated. And one thing I always thought is, because that was where I was settled on. I had to be, an aviator, and I thought, just missing the opportunity for that brotherhood was something that's always stuck with me. But now I get attacked by, again, the low-level shills who might have been in the military, might not. He's got stolen valor. He's claiming to be this or that. And, because I call my dad the general, not because he was a general, because he ran my house like the Army. So that's why I call him the general. And so, because I put a picture up on Facebook probably 12 years ago, I was out at Nellis with some Marines. They had a magazine in there. They were doing a story. They showed us shooting the new Scars, the heavy and the light. So, of course, one of my friends was Air Force, said, this is perfect for you because I'm so pro-military. He lived beside me. So we went out that day and he said, here, put some camos on. So we're out there shooting and I've got this picture. And so I made a video that day, but I put it up on my Facebook page. And I'm not a guy that goes and changes Facebook pictures. It's like, if it's up there forever from 2 decades ago. So I just left it up there. Well, other people have had to correct him, like, because of your military training. I said, no, I don't have any military training. I've had training in other places, but not military. But I get attacked because of that. I'm like, I'm not taking the picture down, because the truth is, when I grow up, I want to be that. I want to be one of those guys, you know?
Yeah. And the thing that people need to realize, that there are some people that never served in the military. You could still be just as much as a patriot if you've served. It's what you do for your country now. And it's just as important as being on the front lines in some cases, especially in the circumstances we are as a nation right now.
Yeah, and quite honestly, if it was, military, we know inevitably is the only way to get our nation back. That doesn't just mean shooting. It's information warfare. Now we know information warfare is the critical variable today, because we have to wake our own people up. We don't have to go killing people. We got to wake ours up.
Right.
And the ones that we're waking up are the ones with 300 million guns. That's what keeps us free.
Yep. And speaking of that, we never tell dates, but I do know there is significant movement underway as we speak. So good things are coming in many different directions.
Good. One thing out of respect that I will say is that this group is letting me know what's happening in the subterranean warfare battles. And I said, we are winning, aren't we? And the response was, we are not winning. We only win when there are no deaths on both. We're only winning when there are no deaths on both sides.
Right.
And I was clued into how many soldiers we just lost in some operations in these tunnel systems.
Yep.
So people can't forget for 1 minute the nonsense people get caught up in life. The shills that attack your show and attack mine. I mean, they were attacking me, you, and LT.
Yeah.
And I, me, I'm just very direct. Let's call it what it is. You're worthless to the mission. You do not count. Go sit in a box and be what you are. Get out of the way. Because right now, some soldier, highly trained, and for half of his career in the military, has basically put his whole life aside to now save the kids.
Yep.
And they're losing their lives. We had that, I think it was in Tennessee, that dumb there, 200 special operators taken out in a false, Gene was telling me this, in a false surrender. They lured them in. Now they no longer will go into dumps. It's either come out and surrender, or we're going to drop we're going to put a tactical nuke in there and bring the whole thing down.
Exactly.
These people are losing their lives.
That's right.
There are kids whose fathers aren't coming home. There are wives whose husbands aren't coming home. There are parents whose children aren't coming home.
Yeah.
So that's why I have no tolerance for any of this nonsense that I have come back.
It's not a game. Real lives are in danger. Real lives are battling for this republic. As I tell my audience, our family members, light winds, God has it. It's going to turn out good, but it's great advice. There's going to be casualties, and it's never over until it's completely over. Yeah.
And the more people we wake up, and the more people become bold, again, to defend their own freedom by using their voice, getting to these town city council meetings, the school boards, taking on these politicians, the scumbag elite class, the sooner this ends and the more lives we save, the ones that really count. Those are just, it's less destruction the longer people wait.
That's right. And so I wish we could have had you on for longer. We're going to have you come back so that we can schedule this for longer, because we could talk for a long, long time. Because we didn't get into some other things that I'd like to discuss. But I would love to work with you on the Constitution. And also, if there's anything we can help you do with the veterans to promote that, to get the veterans all over the country into local offices and make that happen, we'll do anything.
Great. I would actually, I know this is kind of a reach because I know your schedule is probably murderous. But the concept of Operation Restoration, bringing these guys into conversation so we can start, helping them understand their leadership is essential, and it'll have a massive impact on the local levels to show up and speak.
Yep.
If you could, if there's any wingspan you might have for that, love to, collaborate with you on that. And let's go get these guys and get them on the right battlefield.
I love it, Scott. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's revisit both those two action items, and we can work together and make that happen.
You got it. Am I going to see you in Tulsa?
Yes, I'll be in Tulsa. Actually, we're manning the green room. So before all the speakers come on, they'll be coming through the His Glory green room. So we'll be there. Rhema Bible College is one of our partners where the event's at as well. So I will see you there.
Got to give you a Marine hug when I get there.
That's right. Yep, that's right. God bless you. And
God bless you, brother.
We'll have you on again soon. Good to see you.
Love you, brother. We'll see you next time.
All right, take care.
Bye.
That wraps up Scott McKay. I wish we had longer to go with Scott. We're a time crunch because of his story coming on at 2 Eastern. But we'll get Scott back on again, go a little bit longer. As we said, LT will be tomorrow night at 5 o'clock Eastern. It's a small world. We have to work together. We have to work together for this patriot movement and this movement of Christ. It's a great awakening. So we'll be right back at 2 Eastern with his story. It's going to be incredible. God bless you all. Go in a shalom.
Because of COVID-19, the air we breathe and the things we touch are no longer safe. Shared air and surfaces harbor risks due to COVID and other pathogens. But with Active Pure technology, air and surfaces can be purified and disinfected quickly and safely while you share and occupy spaces with others. Active Pure is a patented, advanced, active form of PCO technology. It works by creating and propelling safe and powerful disinfecting molecules into the air in a room, which quickly seek and destroy pathogens everywhere. Active Pure molecules work by piercing the shell of a virus or bacteria to destroy its living environment, thereby preventing it from replicating or doing harm. Active Pure technology is designed to use the law of gases to carry its safe disinfecting molecules into every nook and cranny in every shared space. The law of gases is the reason that the smell of microwaved popcorn immediately spreads through your entire home. These odorless and invisible Active Pure molecules fly through the air from our portable or installed Active Pure products, quickly and safely destroying pathogens in the air and on surfaces. Active Pure is very different from other technologies that take a passive approach and require that the pathogen be pulled into an inefficient filter, UV light, or plain PCO mechanism. Active Pure does not wait to see if by luck the pathogen is captured. It seeks and destroys them quickly, wherever they may be, in the air you breathe or on the surfaces you touch. Active Pure can deliver measurable and guaranteed results, giving you the peace of mind to know that you are providing the best protection for the people you care for. Active Pure technology is used in hospitals, state houses, and other shared facilities across the world. It is proven by science and validated by multiple third parties. Active Pure is not too good to be true.
Obey's extreme terpenes incorporate all the vital components of the industrial hemp plant by sourcing organic ingredients from the flowers, seeds, and stalks of these God-given plants. All of our products meet or exceed the 2018 U.S. Farm Bill requirements. Obey is leading the way in restoring past remedies for essential solutions with clean and simple, natural, organic, healthy choices. Thank you for your support as it helps fund many of the His Glory Ministries benevolence projects.